Today, we are going to break down a super important idea in personal finance: simple interest. Seriously, this is the first step to understanding how you can make your money start working for you even when you're not. So let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. You just got your first paycheck, or maybe you got a nice chunk of cash for graduation. You have this money, and it feels awesome, right? You worked for it, and now it's all yours.
I mean, you could totally go spend it, but what if you could take that money and actually make it grow? What if you could turn that cash into more cash without lifting a finger? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with what simple interest actually is, then we'll check out the super easy formula that makes it all work. After that, I'll walk through an example, then we'll solve one together, and finally, you'll get a shot to try it yourself. So, what in the world is simple interest? It's a pretty straightforward idea, but to really get it, we've got to start with the most important piece of the puzzle. And that key player is called the principal. Just think of it as your starting money, your seed money. It's the original amount you put into a savings account or some kind of investment. This is the foundation that everything else gets built on. Which brings us to simple interest itself. You can basically think of it as a little thank you fee the bank pays you for letting them use your money. Now, the most important part, and why it's called simple, is that the interest is only ever calculated on that initial principal amount. That's it. It never changes. Okay, now this is a spot where a lot of people get tripped up, so listen close. When we use the formula to calculate interest, we're only finding the extra money, the profit. We are not finding the new grand total in your account. To get that final balance, you always have to add the interest you earned back to your original principal. It's a two-step process. Don't forget it.
So how do we figure all this out? Well, lucky for us, there's a really simple formula that does all the heavy lifting. Let's take a look at why it actually makes sense.
The formula is just I equals P times R times T. I is the interest, that's what we're trying to find. P is our principal, that's starting cash. R is the interest rate, which we always have to write as a decimal. And T is for time, which for this formula is always in years. And it makes sense that we multiply them, right? You're basically finding a certain percentage, the rate, of your principal over a specific amount of time. The best way to get this is just to see it in action. So I'm going to walk you through a problem from start to finish. Just try to follow my thinking here. All right, here's our scenario. Liam gets a $2,500 bonus. Awesome. He puts it in an account that pays 4.27% simple interest per year. The question is asking what his investment will be worth after 1 year. Okay, let's do this. Step 1, we just pull out our variables. The principal, P, is $2,500. The rate, R, is 4.27%. Now remember, we can't use a percentage in the formula. We have to turn it into a decimal. Just move the decimal point 2 spots to the left, which gives us 0.0427. And the time, T, is easy. It's just 1 year. Okay, step 2. Plug it all into I equals PRT. We multiply 2,500 times 0.0427 times 1, and that gives us an interest of $106.75. But, and this is a big but, we are not done. The question asks what the investment is worth. So for step 3, we have to find the final balance. We take our original principal, $2,500, and add the interest we just earned. That gives us a grand total of $2,606.75. See? Not so bad. All right, you've seen how it's done. Now let's try one together. Feel free to grab a calculator. I'll lay out the problem, and then I'll ask you to pause and try the steps yourself. Ready? Here we go. Heather invests $450 in a savings account. It pays simple interest at a rate of 3.5% per year. Our job is to figure out how much her investment is worth after a year. Okay, first things first, find your P, your R, and your T. Don't forget to change that percentage to a decimal. Then plug them into the formula to find just the interest. Go ahead and pause here and give it a shot. So, how'd you do? You should have gotten $15.75. We got that by multiplying the principal of $450 by the rate of 0.035 for a time of 1 year. Great job. We've got the interest, but that's not the final answer, is it? What's that last super important step to find the total value of Heather's investment? Go ahead and pause again and find that final balance.
And the final answer is $465.75. All you had to do was take her original $450 and add that $15.75 in interest she earned. See, you're getting the hang of this.
All right, you've seen me do one. We've done one together. Now it's your turn to put all the pieces together and fly solo. This is where it really starts to click. Here's your problem. Bill invested $3,000 in an account with a rate of 2.75% per year. The question is, how much was his investment worth after that 1 year? Take your time, work through the steps we've practiced. You can do this. And hey, just a friendly hint before you dive in. Remember what the question is asking. It wants to know what the investment is worth, so don't forget that final, critical step after you find the interest. Fantastic job working through all of that. Before we finish up, let's just do a quick recap of the biggest, most important ideas from today. So let's boil it all down. First, simple interest is always calculated on your starting money, the principal, and that's it. Second, that little formula, I equals PRT, is your best friend for these problems. Third, and I know I've said it a lot, but it's that important, never ever forget to add the interest back to the principal to get the final total. And finally, remember, this is so much more than a math problem. This is a basic building block for understanding how to manage your money. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Getting how your money can grow is literally the first step toward building the future you want. You didn't just learn a formula today. You started learning the language of money. And trust me, that's a language that's going to help you for the rest of your life. Keep up the amazing work.